Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast where we look to reassure you that football is fixable even after you just watched that England performance. It is fixable, right? Do you think, Sess?
Yeah, definitely. All right. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think
that
we will.
That was a nervy game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we will be all right in the end if Southgate listens to us.
Oh, I know. I don't know how many times we need to say it. Really, people are probably going to get annoyed with us, like a broken record.
Broken record, yeah. No, the structure to this. Well, he hasn't picked the team that we said he should pick.
No.
So,
but he did pick the kind of team that we thought he would pick. So
yes.
He definitely didn't disappoint.
Well, he did, but he didn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it was frustrating because we're meant to be one of the favourites, if not the favourite. In which case, whether we get the result going our way or not, we should still be dominating the games. We should be the ones that are chasing the win.
Exactly, yeah. We were saying, we were having a quick chat before, weren't we? We were saying how you got Argentina when they won the World Cup. Did you say they lost the first game or something? Or
yeah, they lost against Saudi Arabia and Spain as well when they won the World Cup in 2010. They lost the first game as well.
They lost first game, yeah. So, I mean, obviously it's a long tournament, it's a group stage, we got the result. But like you say, it's the performance, really. Even in the first half, and there were good moments where, Serbia sat back and we sort of controlled with lots of fluidity and triangles and that. But we didn't have that cutting edge, so I was always... I was thinking as I was watching it, we need to take these chances, otherwise it could be a bit iffy.
Yeah.
But as the game went on, especially the last stages of the first half, and then the second half, Serbia looked like Spain or Argentina, to be honest.
Yeah, they looked like the team they were the team that were chasing for the win. Even though it just didn't seem as though they were 1-0 down. It felt as though they were confident, they were wanting more goals. But no, actually, the score showed we were ahead somehow.
Yeah, that's it. I just think I don't know, the way they were playing, I feel it was England letting them play, though. We seemed tactically to not sort of have any real control over the game. We were kind of backing off. Lots of space they were able to get into. On, player for player, we've got by far the better team, you'd say.
Yeah.
They've got a few good players in there for sure and everything, but we were relying on individual brilliance, really, rather than a team structure that seemed to, work cohesively, if you like.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of what went well for them, obviously the first 25 minutes were what went well, in a sense, because that was the only time that we looked as though we were the dangerous team that we thought we'd be.
Yeah.
And I think the first 25 minutes, they did exactly what I kind of said that we need to do. We need to make sure that we help the attack as much as we can, because England at the moment, we are attack heavy. So we need to make sure we put the opposition on their back foot, and we are attacking, we are focused, we're forward facing. Everything we do, whether we start from the goalkeeper, the defender, everything has to be forward facing, so that the opposition is always having to kind of chase us. And we did that in the first 25 minutes. It looked like we could be 3-0 up, but then after that, after we scored and the game kind of settled down after about half an hour, it became this whole idea of let's hang back a little bit, let's try and hold possession, if not pass back. And then in the second half, it almost felt as though Southgate told them in the second half, right, we're losing possession quite a bit. What I want you guys to do is to hang back now and kind of like soak up the pressure. But then if you want to soak up the pressure, you only want to do that for a few minutes and then start counter-attacking, try to push them back again. But we never did that. We just kept on soaking up the pressure for the entire second half.
Well, this is the thing, like tactically, it looked like our back line, especially in the sort of last 10-15 minutes of the first half, seemed to drop quite far. So I don't know if that was instructions from the sidelines just to soak up, see us through to half-time or whatever, or whether it was because, we've scored the players on the pitch just mentally or whatever, I don't know. But tactically, we were sitting a bit more towards the end of the first half than the whole second half. We couldn't really get out of our half for large chunks of it. Yeah. And a lot of we just ended up passing it back to Pickford, who would then lump it forward. There was Rice in the midfield sort of shouting, saying, go short, I'm here. But Pickford was always going on. Occasionally, Pickford was picking out, really great passes to a player, but it often didn't go anywhere because then that player was isolated and didn't have anyone to link up with. So it was kind of stuck between passing out from the back and going direct. It was kind of a bit of a mismatch, really.
Yeah, it almost felt as though that's why I think that I feel as though Southgate told them to do it this way, because Pickford, in doing the long passes, it felt as though we were all of a sudden a counter-attacking team. Yeah. And in order to do that, it has to be a tactic. The entire team has to be holding back in order to do a counter-attack. So it felt like it was a complete tactical change. And we were talking, weren't we, about what substitutions to make. If you wanted to try and gain control again, because we're attack heavy, I still think we should have been trying to find a way to help out the attack again. Cole Palmer is someone who'd be perfect for that. You bring him on, or Anthony Gordon. They kind of have this energy that they can run on, and it feels as though they can get something out of it. Even if they don't score, they can help the attack. Whereas we decided to bring on Conor Gallagher, Kobbie Mainoo. We tried to control the midfield. But if you're playing a counter-attacking game, it doesn't really matter how you control the midfield because you're always playing on your back foot.
That's the thing, he brought, like you say, Gallagher and then Mainoo on. But the tactics didn't change. There was no passing out from the back. It was constantly going direct. So then they weren't really getting on the ball anyway. It was just kind of adding a bit of energy in the midfield. But there was no real passing, progression or anything like that. So it's just frustrating. You're just watching Pickford put some really good balls through and stuff, but then we're hoping that Kane can earn a foul or something like that. That's, watching my team, obviously, is at club level, and watching them build up out from the back all the time, and tactically you can see that every player knows what they're doing. I know that Gareth hasn't had as long with this group of players from various different teams to gel them together and everything, but for me, I think that demonstrates that we don't have an elite coach, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to Gareth. I really respect what he's done we've talked about it in the past, changing the culture around England and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think there's certain moments where you need a top manager to just, what tactics do we need? Okay, if we're going to sit back, fine. But then every player knows their role in doing that. We were kind of, like I said before, between a rock and a hard place, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Because I think we were saying during the game that during the first 20 minutes or so when we were playing well, I said to you, didn't I, that Saka and Bellingham are playing too well because at this rate they're going to get taken off because Southgate has this real fear about the attack, doesn't he? As soon as someone's attacking well, he's kind of like, oh no, that's too much of that. We need to change
Saka's tearing their left back to shreds. Oh, we better take him off.
Yeah. I mean, even with that, with Saka, the reason why we did really well in attack, one of the main reasons was because Saka was staying out wide. He gave us width because Foden was he was clearly told he's got the free rein to go into the middle with the number 10 role. Yeah. I'm fine with that, as long as Saka gave us the width, which he did, and he destroyed their fullback every time. He was winning the battle, and it was his cross, deflected cross, but it was his cross nonetheless that got us the goal. And then in the second half, it felt as though maybe again Southgate told everyone, right, Saka's played really well, now I want you guys to not pass to him. And then after 60 minutes, he goes, well, Saka clearly hasn't done well because he's not being given the ball and he hasn't done anything. Well, it's not his fault. It just seems to be that they just stopped doing the one thing that they were doing well.
That could well be correct. Yeah, well, that could be correct. I had a theory that it could be Serbia changing the way they were trying to get two on Saka a lot more in that second half. So they were trying to get him out of the game a bit more, make sure that, because really we were so right side heavy, weren't we? That was where all of our threat was coming down. And that, you understand that we've got Trippier left back doing a job, but he's not naturally a left back. Foden isn't really a left winger, although he can again do a job if he's got the right players around him and everything. He can do really well. At City, he can make it look good, but obviously he's in a great machine there where he can, demonstrate all of his sort of strengths, and his weaknesses aren't really there. In this England side, our left side is pretty much non-existent at the moment, by the looks of that performance anyway. So we're very much focused on that right side. So it seems that Serbia came out in the second half with a plan, right, if we shut down that side, what have England got?
Yeah.
That's where a good manager for England would then counter that and say, right, well, this is what we're going to do now then. But nothing happened. And
yeah, exactly. It kind of almost left the left side open for us to put a Gordon or a Palmer on there.
that's what I said to you during the game, wasn't it? Get the legs on for Gordon. If we're going to have to counter like this and go more direct, Gordon's got the legs. He's used to playing on that left side. Get him on there. Foden wasn't having the best of games, although I had Dan texting me during the game saying, get Foden off, he's not playing well, which is true.
Yeah.
But I think part of that was because of the tactics. Foden wasn't able to get in the game.
Yeah.
So he wasn't able to build that sort of fluency, get your touch rate. You know what it's like when you play football. You want to be regularly touching the ball so you can just feel the kind of momentum of the game and everything. If the ball comes to you once every 10, 15 minutes or so or something, your touch is always a bit rusty and that kind of thing. So
yeah, and I said to you towards the end of the game as well that Foden is constantly receiving the ball with his back to goal because he's the tactic for us was to hang back, so he's always having to run back towards Pickford, then get the ball, which means that he either does a world class pirouette to try and beat the defender, or he has to pass backwards. Whereas in the first half, we were always going forward. Everyone was looking towards the goal. Every pass was designed for you to attack, and it just didn't work at all. Foden's not used to that because he plays for a City team that is always looking forward. When was the last time they hung back the way that England did?
Exactly. Yeah.
But
I do think it's that we have that player to pick out, because that's one thing. Rice did a job at West Ham where he did tonight, where he was able to just sit in front of the back four and just try and protect them as best he can. But at Arsenal, one thing that was pointed out early in the season that he's not particularly good at being able to receive the ball from the keeper or the defence, turn and then progress it. So instead, what they do at Arsenal is they have Partey or Jorginho to do that. Then Rice has become more box to box, and that's where his strengths have really that's why he's been so good during the last season.
Yeah,
England have got him back playing what he did at West Ham, and we don't really have that player to progress the ball then. So I think that's a real dilemma he's got there. I wouldn't have had Trent in that midfield like we said before the game. We both said that. He's not the player who's able to do that role either. So I think England really have to think about who's the midfielder that can progress the ball out of the back. Otherwise, we're going to have to change our tactics and sit more more deep and go more direct, I think.
Yeah, and that kind of midfielder, the only one that we've got is actually Mainu, I think. Even though
he's probably the closest fit. Yeah,
we'd be relying on an 18-year-old who with barely any experience, but he, in terms of someone who can get the ball on the half turn or be the pivot, he does that brilliantly for United. So I wouldn't be surprised if I would be surprised if Southgate tests him out, because that's a positive change. But I do have to say though, in terms of the positives, something off the field, I thought the halftime pundits were, who was it? Micah Richards, Cesc Fabregas,
Cesc and Rio,
Rio, and Gary Lineker. I thought that was some of the best punditry I've heard. They clearly
is
had
that
to
your
speak
highlight of the game?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, they had to speak quickly because they were clearly told you've only got a short space of time. We need to do a few adverts. Even though it's BBC, they're still allowed to advertise their own stuff, which I find weird. But they were on point, I thought. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think one thing with the likes bringing Cesc Fabregas in there, he thinks of the game quite tactically as well. He's interesting to have his sort of idea. He's a coach currently anyway, so he's bringing that kind of current dressing room coaching kind of expertise to it. Then you've got Micah with the charisma and Rio, who's got the presence and all of that as well. And Lineker's the best host. So those three, it was like a perfect balance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The chemistry between them. They sort of bounced off each other. There was real kind of tactical analysis you're getting from the likes of Cesc Fabregas, for example. Rio brings in that mentality from his experience of being a winner. And then there's Micah Richards, who brings in... I'm sure he brings in something. But no, he does. He contributes a few good points
he's
and
getting
comments.
better year on year.
Yeah, but he is there also. You said this before, what makes a good pundit, and I agree with it, is a part of it, there needs to be that sort of tactical awareness where you're able to contribute valuable analysis. But at the same time, that charisma, you don't want someone on there who's just a machine, who just talks tactics. You want someone with a bit of charisma who can present it in the right way. So I think, that balance, you're absolutely right. That's why we're moving away from England to talk about the punditry. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah,
There were
no, that
positives,
sounds
though.
about right.
I think that if anyone's listened to this, wondering why I sound a bit kind of tense, is because this is immediately post the match.
Yeah,
We're both a bit kind of like, we want to get this off our chest, and, England,
I know.
But actually, there were some positives out there. I thought there's a few. If you were going to say what were your main positives, Sess, what would you say? I'll see if they're the same as mine.
Well, the first thing is Gahey in defence.
Yes, he's one of my points I want to make. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the first one for me, because it's that's the bit that we kind of thought, ooh, can he do it? Can he not? Who's it going to be?
He was my
He played really well. But the other one for me, I would say it's Bellingham. To be honest,
it's quality, isn't he? 20 years old.
Yeah, and it's kind of an easy thing to do, just to say, oh yeah, Bellingham, because even before the tournament started, he was pretty much our shining light. But the thing is, I mean, even his posture, the way he walked, it just seemed as though it was very similar to Zidane.
Sort of oozes confidence.
Yeah, really reminded me of Zidane, where he can just walk around, and it's as though people kind of like gave him space. And you could tell Serbia tried to target him from the start, tried to tell him who's boss. But
lots of challenges there going in quite hard on him, weren't they?
Yeah, but he didn't shy away from it, not once.
No. And one thing I didn't realise he did as much of it as he does, is the physical side of it, the sliding challenges. It's refreshing to see it. He gets stuck in. Like
this is why I
traditional midfielder, bit of a Gerrard kind of player.
Yeah, this is why I always said that it should be Bellingham and Rice in the middle. And we shouldn't have someone like Trent there or anything, because Bellingham is box to box in general, and he's brilliant at tackling, and he can attack as well. You want him on the ball as much as possible, and in order to do that, being in the centre, which he pretty much played today, he was box to box today, wasn't he? I think that's the perfect position for him. This whole idea of putting him in a number 10 role, because he's got the 10 on his shirt, it's a complete fallacy. He didn't do that for Real Madrid, he didn't do that for Dortmund, and he's never done that for England. So why talk about that?
Well, following this game, I would also agree with that. I would have Foden as the number 10, Bellingham and Rice. Seeing that Bellingham has that rough and ready, he's able to get stuck in kind of side to him as well. I knew he had the talent, he's got the drive, he's got that pirouette, the turn away from the player. I think he might be someone who could help pick the ball out of defence and help build and progress the ball. So him and Rice working together with Foden in front, and then we've got the likes of Gordon or Palmer we can put on that left side. I think that's based on this performance, I think that's worth trying in the next game. We've got Denmark, haven't we? Is it Tuesday, I think?
Tuesday, yeah. So what you're saying is my tactic that I mentioned weeks ago is the way forward then?
Well, I said it should be Mainu, so Mainu sitting in there next to Rice, so it's the same kind of, the tactics are the same, but the players, you said to have Bellingham in there. After today's performance, I now agree with that I'd like to see how he would do, sat as two pivots, him and Rice.
Yeah.
How that would look. And that's the other thing, it would bring Foden back into his sort of favoured position, where he's not reliant on Trippier at left-back, who, again, he's doing a job, but it's not his main position. So I think that would help get the best of Foden. And then if we have Gordon on the left, for example, he's got the legs to stretch the teams. They can't push too far forward because he'll be able to get, he'll get in behind them.
Well, yeah, it gives all the players, it actually puts all the players in their best positions.
That's it. It's
just so bizarre how they keep on trying to put, Palmer on the right, Foden on the left, Bellingham in number 10. It's just all of these players being put in positions where they don't normally play or aren't their best at. Just put them in their best positions. And
it's like putting Scholes on the left again, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even with Gareth's negativity, it should still hopefully be good enough.
Gareth's really getting the flack today. I mean, he's in one of the most prestigious roles in football, in world football. The home, where football was created. This probably gets some people a bit riled up, but according to FIFA, looking at the history, the creators of football, and he's got the England job, the England manager's job. I think that comes with the credit it deserves, but also the scrutiny. And I think he needs to change the tactics that we saw today, because we should not be, lacking control of a game over Serbia as much as we did, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
In other news, so did you hear about the England camp? So apparently, England, the people who, sort of the support team around the England team, wanted the German hosts, because they're in like this German resort thing, right?
Yeah.
They wanted the grass to resemble Wembley. You think, oh, that's quite clever. So it would be like training at home and stuff like that. There's a problem with that, though. Have you thought about it? They're not playing at Wembley. They're playing in Germany. So
I didn't even think.
So they're gonna get. Oh, this is familiar grass. This is brilliant. And this grass is different now. Oh, damn.
We should have spent this time getting used to the German grass.
Exactly.
What's the difference?
I think it must be length. I don't think it's colour. It must be length.
Yeah, but then
I don't know. Wembley always looks like it's quite long grass, actually, but I don't know.
okay. But the thing is, like, if I was an England player, I wouldn't be necessarily used to the Wembley grass. I would be used to the grass of my home team.
Yeah, your club team or
Club
something.
team, yeah.
Yeah, the way you spend most of the year.
Yeah.
Actually, you're not with England, but it doesn't really mean... It's a bit of a nonsense story, but they interviewed... It was on one of the rival media outlets that you don't want to go to anyway. Yeah, they're interviewing, like, the groundskeeper, and he was saying, in his German accent, he says, ha-ha!
It doesn't quite make sense, does it? Because they don't even train on the... They don't go to Wembley to train, do they? They're not like, just run around in the stadium.
Not normally.
No.
They have their own, like, is it St. James's Park or something where they train, or
something
like that, isn't it?
Yeah, St. James, St. George.
St. George's Park.
St. George, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, so that sounds very weird. Yeah.
Got any news for us?
I do, yeah. As we're in Germany, well, not us. We're not in Germany.
Well, we could be.
We should be. Next tournament will probably be, even more global than we are now.
Even more global.
Yeah. And, then they'll probably want us to go to the actual tournaments, wouldn't they? That'd be good.
Yeah, I would imagine so. It'd probably be like VIP, all paid for.
Yeah, but we want to be in with the crowd, on the streets.
Yeah, that would be... You be in with the crowd. I'll be in the box, just to let you know what it's like up there.
And then they'll say, yeah, we have sushi, and you go, oh, I'll go to the streets then. Forget it.
That's just...
I'll be there with a stein of beer. Going, all right, James, how's it going?
This sushi, I just wouldn't eat it.
No
one likes sushi though, do they?
No. So I'll talk about the German VAR, or Das VAR, I should call it. So they have VAR, and apparently it's going quite well for them. One of the main German referees, he's refereed in other big tournaments. He got interviewed on TalkSport recently, and he actually said it's gone so well that he will retire if he has to referee games without VAR now.
Really?
Yeah, he basically said that once VAR gets taken away, or if VAR gets taken away, I should say, he won't referee anymore. That's how much he finds it kind of like a safety net, like we've said before.
Yeah.
But also, he said everyone wants accuracy nowadays, and that's the only way to get pure accuracy. And if people aren't going to be satisfied either way, then you might as well be accurate. And it sounds like the way the Germans do it. He said he knows the way that it's been problematic in the English Premier League, and he said it has seemed to have worked better in Germany, and that's what they're using for the. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. That's what they're using in the Euros.
So is it exactly? So is that the same process of VAR? So it could differ slightly from what we use in the Prem. So
yeah,
that'd be a good comparison of.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see. It'll probably be good if we kind of look back on it at some point and see if it helped. If it's something that we'd want to have.
Yeah, let's see if it lives up to our standards.
Yeah,
when I say ours, I don't mean the Prem. I mean us too.
Us, yeah, you and me. Yeah, that's the highest standard.
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Our stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Additionally, I have more interesting news. Not more, well, it could be more interesting, but more interesting.
Less uninteresting news.
I have a Gabby watch.
Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah,
we should have a theme tune.
we do need like a jingle or something for Gabby watch
of him going like, "Oh, I'm Gabby bong no." Oh,
all right. That was alright, wasn't
it?
Yeah. So yeah, he was having a chat with Simon Jordan on TalkSport.
Yeah.
And he was fuming that Grealish wasn't in the England squad. I'm sure there's no bias or anything in that at all.
No, not at all. There's
Grealish
no
being also from the area, being that they're close mates,
Yeah,
and
not
played for
Villa
the same
connections.
team, Villa. Yeah, exactly. But I'm sure that's not anything to do with it. He's
No,
completely unbiased and professional.
and I'm sure it's got nothing to do with the fact that he doesn't have a single good thought in his mind.
So, professionalism. That's it, right?
If anything, I suppose, I mean, he might actually genuinely not think those things, but I feel as though it has to be that he wakes up in the morning and looks at Twitter and stuff and thinks, what could cause controversy? What's something that I can say which is opposite to the
No, I don't.
norm?
I honestly think he's not. He doesn't realise what he's saying. I don't.
It's just, I mean, if that's the case, then that's a damning indictment on his intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. No, I know you say with Souness that you think he's there to just counter an argument and stuff. I think Gabby Bonnehol's not that sinister. I think he just says
Genuinely,
what he thinks.
this is... Oh, wow.
Your words, though. I didn't say that. But yeah, he said...
Pretty sure you just said it, but all right.
But yeah, Grealish apparently should be in the squad. He's a game changer. Is that Brummy?
Again, that was more Ringo Starr,
was
but
it?
yeah.
Gary Barlow. Apparently he's a game changer. You know, he comes on in big games and he makes a difference. And he's talking to Simon Jordan when he's saying that, and he said, like the Real Madrid game, he started, and then Simon Jordan said, "Sure," and they didn't win it.
I was just about to say, like, of all the games,
that's his argument. Yeah, he just
Yeah.
picked that. You know, he started that game. He's a big game player. You know, yeah, but you lost that game.
Yeah, and I've heard a couple of people say Grealish should have come on or been in the squad because he's one of those players who can make something out of nothing. The problem is that Grealish that we're thinking of is the Aston Villa Grealish. We haven't seen that Grealish for 2 years now.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, Man
in a
City
previous
Grealish.
episode, and that's such a good point.
Yeah, he's been slowly trained out of being this individualistic guy, and Southgate doesn't want those kind of players. Even if we had the Aston Villa Grealish, Southgate wouldn't play him because Southgate's got a certain plan, and quite rightly,
It's
he
quite
shouldn't.
regimented,
shouldn't
kind of
play that.
structured system, isn't it?
Yeah, if it's not going to fit into the manager's plans, then he won't be played anyway. So there's not really much point. It's like there was a Man United fan recently that said Marcus Rashford should still be in it because he scored 30 goals 2 seasons ago. What kind of an argument's that?
I think I kind of see what he's trying to say. It doesn't make sense.
No.
Would I put Rashford in? I'd say he's more of a game changer than he's got.
Rashford?
He's just got a moment in him where he just could. He didn't have a great season, for example, but then playing Man City away and then bang out of nowhere, one of the goals of the season. He's got that moment of just, and it's probably more linked to finishing as well. Maybe that's the game changer thing. Grealish is more of a kind of dribbler, earns free kicks kind of style. I don't know if that's going to change the game as much.
No, and that's out of desperation. Last 20 minutes if you're losing 1-0 kind of situation, which you don't want to be in that situation.
No,
and also,
exactly,
you can see a lot of players being game changers, and yet they're not actually of a high standard. Andros Townsend, for example, Everton legend, he was
not of a high standard though, apparently.
only when he played for Everton.
Oh, I see, right.
But he's not someone who was anything special, but he had a game-changing left foot, didn't he? That would, out of nowhere, outside the penalty box, he'd score that blinder, wouldn't he? But that doesn't necessarily mean, well, because he does that once a season, he should be in the England squad.
But yeah, I presume that the term game changer is something that it happens more than once a season, that you change games, not just once.
It hasn't done for Grealish.
No, I'd say that's what I think Rashford has changed games more often than that. He's more regularly a game changer.
Yeah.
But I don't think he justifies being in the squad, though. You know.
No, and you've got to earn it as well. That's when we used to play Sunday League. There were some players that we could think they're not actually as good as some of the other players, but those other players, they just turn up on a Sunday and expect to walk in the team instead of like doing the hard work, turning up to training and getting there on time.
Makes with the manager or something like that.
Yeah,
You're going to name those names, name those players there, Sess?
Well, I didn't want to say you, but all right, if you're going to make me, then...
I wasn't prepared for that.
All right, well, I've got a Souness one.
Your buddy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, my mate Souness. We actually agree.
What?
Yeah, I almost got a nosebleed. But he basically said that, it was quite recent, he said that Southgate made a mistake in not taking Branthwaite.
That's what you said a few episodes back, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so I mean, I think it's more likely that he agrees with me than
Yeah.
me agree with him, because I said it first.
Yeah. Well,
said it a while back.
yeah, and probably we could probably go and verify that and confirm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You don't. I mean, so you two are becoming close mates now, then, are you?
Well, he's learning from me, definitely.
He's learning. Graham
Yeah.
Jeunesse is learning. Legend of Liverpool, great man, and all that. But
You can be a legend all you want, but he clearly has no idea what he's talking about and has to learn from us.
former manager, player, experienced man, and he's learning from you, Sess.
He is, yeah. Like I always say with Carlo Ancelotti, Everton made him who he is. If anything, Everton won that Champions League.
Is that how it works?
Yeah,
Does that count?
Yeah, absolutely. But no, actually, I do have one specifically about Didi Hamann. You remember him?
He's Liverpool actually as well, isn't he?
Liverpool,
former
Man
Liverpool.
City as well, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Man City. Yeah.
So he was interviewed on TalkSport, and he had a lot to say about Jordan Pickford.
oh no.
And I'd like, obviously to defend the only Everton guy in the squad left, but also, even without being an Everton fan, I think I would step in the way of what Haman's saying, because Haman was saying that basically, if you don't have a great keeper, then you're not gonna get places. You're not gonna win the tournament. He's pretty much the weak spot. Yada yada yada.
Oh,
he
right. Okay.
had a good 5-6 minute segment on Pickford. I just kind of thought, but even without my Everton hat on, it's one of the only positions that shouldn't really be contested for the last few years, isn't it?
I actually agree with you on this. And
Yeah.
going on to that our previous episode when we talked about the the squad that we'd pick and that kind of thing, Pickford's first choice England keeper.
Yeah. Loads of people say he shouldn't be picked because of his tenacity. He kind of he can quite easily get. Someone said he can easily get red cards, and I said to him, "Well, when was the last time you saw him get a red card? Because I can't remember. I'm an Everton fan, and I can't remember."
Any keeper could easily get a red card.
yeah. This whole idea about him being too hot-headed and everything, has it really stopped him? Like, whenever England lost in the last few tournaments, has it been because of Pickford?
No, I think I'm sure we mentioned it on a previous episode where he made his first mistake in playing for England.
Yeah.
I think it was in the qualifiers or something like that.
Yeah,
it was
and that
sometime
was-
this year.
Yeah, that was a surprise, wasn't it?
And
Like,
he's been in-
finally, he's made
yeah.
a mistake.
He's been in the squad, first choice, like you say, him.
Yeah.
You've got Kane the other side. Maybe say Rice in the middle, but
Yeah.
they're really the spine, and they've been consistent as you could.
Yeah, and
ask for,
he
really.
did his part in the last Euros in the penalty shootout
Yeah,
as
he
well.
did.
He saved two.
Did
I
save a
think.
couple, yeah.
Yeah. It's just one of those positions that you can say that stalwarts are people like Kane and Declan Rice and stuff, but you can say in certain times Kane's let the team down. We could say that certain
Yeah, of
players.
course. There's going to be
haven't turned
mistakes
up.
and moments. But
Yeah, but I can't really think of a time when you could say, well, if only we had a better keeper.
No,
It's
I
very
don't-
weird.
I wonder if that's looks like Didi Haman's gone on your list of most wanted. Is it?
Yeah.
Next to Souness, and
Yeah.
we could put Gabby on there as well.
I don't really take too much of what Haman says as gospel, because I mean, he even thought that the German group is one of the hardest groups.
Yeah, well, they're Group A, aren't they? They were the
Yeah.
first to play. They played Scotland.
Scotland, yeah.
And who else was it? Switzerland.
Hungary.
Not right now, Seth. We've got work to do. So this week we've got a bit more of a kind of different take on our episode, haven't we? We're looking at the opposition. But before,
Hey, you're right there, Sean Connery. Opposition.
but before we get into that, something come up on my like notifications. You get like news and things, right?
Yeah.
And I had and it was about, they said sugar daddies, poor pay, and cramped flats. What influencers' real lives are like? It's revealed. I'm thinking,
Okay.
is this what we're kind of getting into? We're sort of, we're influencers, right?
Oh yeah.
Is that what we can?
we certainly influence. Yes.
Yeah.
What is it? Sugar daddies.
Poor pay and cramped flats. I mean, well, this is a studio for a start. It's not a cramped flat, is it?
No. Yeah. Poor pay. I mean, we're non-profit. We've said before. We're not talking about pay.
No, exactly.
We're so charitable that
Yeah.
we've involuntarily.
Yeah, it's not by choice.
yeah.
But it's so the pay's not an issue.
Yeah. Sugar daddy. You haven't told me about your.
Yeah, but what's a sugar daddy? Do we have a sugar daddy, or is one of us the sugar? Right, let's not get anyway.
Well, you're older than me, so
Wow,
significantly.
Whoa.
Where's my money, sugar daddy?
Right. Do you want to tell us about Germany, Sess?
Oh yeah. So we're gonna focus on 4 teams, aren't we? 2 teams each. That these are the 4 that we think they're the ones to look out for. And
yeah, these are our picks, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
I suppose. I mean, there's obviously any team can win it, as they say, but
well, not any team, only the ones that have qualified.
oh yeah, good
Yeah.
point. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So these are the 4 to look out for. The first one we're going for is Germany. So what we know about Germany, they're in the middle of Europe. They share a border with 9 countries. There you go. Sorry, football related.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get the grasshoppers back out again?
Well, the main thing that everyone knows about Germany is they're serial winners. They've won the World Cup 4 times. The Euros they've won 3 times. So whereas in England, we've won 1 World Cup in 1966 and that's it. For them, winning is kind of standard. It's not mundane, but it's almost expected for them.
Yeah, they've kind of got the mentality for it, haven't they?
Yeah, we've said before, like with Real Madrid winning the Champions League so many times, you might not necessarily have won it yourself, like Bellingham hadn't won it himself, but wearing the shirt means a certain thing. You wear almost the history in a sense.
Yeah.
And speaking to, I've actually got German contacts. This is crazy.
You've done field research.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I've actually spoken internationally for this research. And I wanted to get to understand what it's like being a German fan that watches a team that has won stuff, because we've never seen England win. That's the...
All right.
I was saying to them, like, I've never seen England win anything. What's it actually like? And what's it like after having won stuff? Because that's quite important as well. How do you build on it? How do you maintain it? How do you keep winning things?
Yeah.
And they said that there's actually a lot of pressure in Germany for the German national team to actually succeed.
So there is an expectation.
There is a huge expectation, but there isn't the kind of melancholy, I suppose, that us lot would have in England, because we're used to not winning.
All right. We have younger listeners, Sess.
Well, the younger listeners have seen England not win anything.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do they know what melancholy means?
Oh, I see. They think it's some sort of ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love a melancholy.
Melancholy.
Well, they think it's some sort of a dog that's crossed with a fruit.
It does sound like melon. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right then.
So I look back to 1996 actually, at their Euros runs. 1996 they were champions. Then they ended in the group stage, 2 tournaments running. Then runners-up, semi-final, and then most recently round of 16. That was a real dip. We haven't seen Germany in our lifetimes be this low.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But the way they were in this tournament, they didn't qualify because they're hosts. So we don't have anything to fall back on in terms of how they did in recent qualifications. So I look back at their friendly games, and my goodness me, they have not done well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so in 2023, they played 8 games. They won 2, drew 1, and lost 5.
Whoa.
And I'm not necessarily going to delve into what teams they were, because, they could have played against France, Brazil, Argentina and stuff, for all we know.
Yeah,
so I'm only looking at this on a high level,
Yeah.
As an overview.
General trends and things.
General trends, yeah. 2024, however, they've played 4 friendlies and they won all 4. And some of those were against good teams. I think they beat France as one of them. It was pretty good results they got. They had there's clearly an upturn in their luck in what they're doing. Of their 26 players, 12 of them played in the World Cup, where they, completely got destroyed. So you can tell that there's kind of an overhaul. Some due to injury, fair enough, same as England had.
Yeah, they've gone through a bit of a transition, haven't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They've had to do this transition because they relied a lot on their older players that were playing back in 2014 when they won the World Cup.
Yeah.
So they've had an overhaul, and they got Nagelsmann in as their manager. He's only temporary. I think after this tournament, he's He's
Oh, is he really?
he's out of contract. Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
he is a master tactician. I remember when he first started in Hoffenheim, and they were languishing kind of relegation zone. And Hoffenheim, as a city, I think you can fit Hoffenheim in Wembley.
Wow.
It's tiny.
Wow.
But he led them to, I think it was like second or third. He got them to Champions League spot, and that wasn't due to the players or anything. He was a master tactician, and he was younger than a lot of the players. He 28, I think he was 28, 29.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
God, this is like story time. I
Yeah,
just
what can
wanna
I say?
Sort of sit around, and cross-legged on the floor. And
Yeah,
tell us
well-
a story, Seth.
Well, that's the thing with Germany. Like, if you just go based on their recent performances in the tournaments, you would say, well, they're not going to be anywhere near the top. But the thing is, this is their home nation. You can
Yeah,
see
true.
in 2024 they've kind of done a bit of an overhaul in their squad, and they're getting a good pattern going. They've got a manager that's got good tactics in mind, clearly, because they've won all of their games in 2024. So I reckon they could really, with the home crowds, they could really push for it.
That is definitely an advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, I think someone to look out for.
The danger man.
The danger man. I would say Musiala is someone to look out for because he's 21 years old, and he's shown in Bayern Munich he's absolutely relied upon for their attack. And bear in mind, actually, I was looking at the teams that these German players play for. 20 of them out of the 26 play in Germany, and it used to be all of them are from Munich.
Munich, yeah.
Now
maybe
only
some Dortmund, maybe, but
now only 5 players are from Munich, and the rest, 15 out of the 20, are scattered all around
it's quite
Stuttgart.
interesting, actually.
Yeah,
I remember theorising once, quite
Yeah.
a few years back, that one reason that the German national team is really good is because they play with each other at club level. They've built that chemistry, and
Yeah.
that Bayern Munich team were a brilliant side,
it was similar to Spain when they won everything. It was
Similar thing, yeah.
Barcelona and Madrid, with like usually one left back from Atletico Madrid or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. And otherwise, it was just, and I think chemistry is bound to be part of it. That was definitely my theory. No one else has thought of that.
Oh yeah, clearly.
But yeah, one thing with Germany is Muller, who plays for Bayern Munich,
Yeah.
said that, and I kind of see what he's kind of making, what point he's trying to say here, and that is that they don't have any sort of big, great sort of egos and great players like you might think of stars. Like he sort of said, like world stars.
Yeah.
It's more about the team. We're brought up in Germany playing football as a unit. It's about the team functioning.
Yeah, well, that was actually the next point I was going to make, so I'll probably just cut you out in the edit. Whatever.
What?
So my German contact, I was asking about, how if you look at a French team, Mbappe is the standout.
For star.
Yeah, and you have those stars that even if you don't like football, everyone knows who Cristiano Ronaldo is, who Messi is. They're kind of like, the Michael Jordan, those kind of names.
Yeah.
You don't have to like basketball to know them. And I said, in Germany, is there someone like that, wherever you go in Germany, you see advertisements with them and stuff? And it was a no. It was the team is either advertised or it's no one specific.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite a good thing for them, I think, because at the moment they've kind of held back their expectations. They know that they're in transition, kind of like we were. England was 10 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever now. They kind of knew that there had to be some sort of transition going on.
Yeah.
So they're not expected to win, as the odds would say, but I reckon they could do pretty well. I wouldn't be surprised if they get to the semi-finals.
I wouldn't be surprised if they won it because of that team unit. Obviously, being
Yeah.
home nations, like we said, as well. The home,
Yeah, and
crowd
that shirt.
behind them.
Yeah, imagine wearing a shirt with that many stars on it.
Yeah, I'm sure that just does it. But they have got some really good players as well. We sort of say that they're not big egos, the big stars, that kind of thing, but they're good players.
Yeah, they're players that I think pretty much any team would love to have.
Yeah,
and this will
definitely.
be the last tournament, I'm assuming, for Manuel Neuer, the greatest keeper of all time.
Yeah, you go on about him. Don't you?
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about Italy?
I'd love to. I love Italy. It's one of my favourite places to go to. But for fans from any other country, I love your countries too.
You're going to say that for every country.
Every
as well.
country that was. That's my favourite, by the way. So the first thing I say about Italy is it Opta. You know Opta? the
Yes.
supercomputer.
Oh, then no.
So they've predicted that Italy have a 5% chance. I should say they've calculated that they have a 5% chance of winning the Euro. Well, I should say now, what's Germany's prediction?
Oh, that's a good point. Germany's prediction is 12.4%.
So Opta are thinking Germany are going to edge it. I mean, you'd think, based on everything you've said, that they're going to be probably having a better chance in Italy, but don't underestimate the Italians.
It doesn't really make sense with the percentage chances, because if you're most likely to win, you should have a 100% chance of winning, right?
No, that 100% would mean you're definitely going to win it, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what are these? No, I suppose it does make sense.
Please keep that in. So yeah, don't forget. So Italy, that first of all, they're reigning champions.
Yeah.
Sadly, from an England point of view, they beat England at Wembley. Or you might say that I still feel Cellini. I can still feel him tugging Saka back. Do you remember that challenge you put on Saka? Unbelievable. And that they ended up winning. But that's actually saying that Cellini and Bonucci, their centre-back pairing that kind of got them through that tournament to some extent, that brilliant defence.
They're not still in the squad.
You wouldn't be surprised. They're like 52 now. But no, they have retired. So Italy, they're going through a bit of a transition themselves.
They got other players that sound like pastas.
Yeah, it does make you so hungry, doesn't it, when you're listening to Italy? So they didn't qualify for the World Cup. So you might think, straight away, Italy there, what's going on there? So from champions of the Euros to they didn't qualify in 2022 for the World Cup. Bit crazy. They've got a new manager. So Mancini is no longer the manager.
Okay.
And you talk about a tactician in Nagelsmann, or Nagelsmann as you called him.
Yeah.
They've got Luciano Spalletti, which, Spalletti.
I love a bowl of Spalletti.
Yeah, Spalletti Bolognese.
Yeah.
They've got a new manager. And it's the manager that led Napoli to the title.
Was it last? Not the season just gone, is it? It's the season.
Yeah,
before
I think it was
that.
the one before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you think about all the big names of the Milan teams and Juventus and all that, and it was Napoli that went through. And
by some distance as well, from what I remember.
He's seen as the master tactician. He's seen, he's a very tactical style of play. So he's not like we talked about. Was it last week or week before about Ancelotti and how Everton made him? But how he's kind of like, he just gets the best out of a team, but it's not about tactics specifically. He just he gets the best out of the players, and he lets them go and just demonstrate how good they are. Really.
Yeah.
Whereas Spalletti isn't like that. He's very much a Nagelsmann kind of mould in the sense that it's more about tactics, but the Pep Guardiola style.
Okay.
So he's been complimented for a style of play, but he's criticised for his inability to win trophies, according to the BBC.
Harsh, when he won a trophy the season before last.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah, but he's criticised because apparently he usually doesn't win trophies. I was going to say he's like Kane, but actually, he's won a trophy, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But he's seen as a tactician. They qualified in second place in their qualifiers, but the group they were in was seen as the group of death, unlike the German. Who else was it? Scotland, Croatia, and whoever else it was.
Oh yeah,
I'm mixing all of these.
Switzerland
and Hungary.
Hungary.
Do that joke again? No, yeah. So the actual group of death is seen as Spain, Croatia, Albania, and Italy.
Oh wow!
So you think Albania have been given a short straw there?
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a real group of death, isn't it?
That is a group of death.
But
I don't necessarily think any of those teams are considered, the favourites or anything.
No, but I suppose their records and their history and stuff, Spain, Croatia, Croatia tend to do well, even though...
I don't know how.
I don't know, yeah. They've got, brilliant players, don't get me wrong, but
they
always seem to find their way to the latter stages, don't
they?
But yeah, so Italy is seen as far from favourites, apparently.
Okay.
So similar to the German model in a sense, they're kind of focusing on a collective strength. They're not focusing on individuals. So they don't have, like we mentioned about Cellini and Bonucci in the defence, they've had to transition away from that. They've got like Bastoni, young up-and-coming defender at the back. I used to buy him on FIFA a few years back. He's a young lad.
You also have Bastoni with a bit of Parmesan, don't you?
Yeah. Chiesa, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, we're going to get like brought off the air for this. So yeah, it's more about, so they've had to transition their defence. So we say the manager's different. Verratti and Insigne.
Oh, Verratti's still around.
No, that's what I'm saying. So it's transitioned away from
Oh, I see.
So he's no longer around.
Okay.
Verratti, Insigne and Berardi.
I
love a bit of Berardi with my lasagna.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Cellini, Bonucci retired. They usually play a 4-3-3, But their team, so they do have some, so they are collective now. But in terms of, I did spot a danger man that's kind of a lot of people are talking about. And do you remember Barella? He's been playing for, Italy for the last couple of years.
Barella.
Barella. Yes, that would be him. So he plays for Inter.
Yeah.
So he's still in one of the, he fights in one of the top teams.
Inter.
Did they win it this year?
Yeah.
They did actually, didn't they? I've done my research.
Clearly.
And so notable kind of terms I'm getting out of the Italy camp is it's about collective and hard work. So that's what it's about. But they've got a few brilliant talents like Barella. He's a good player, to be fair. So yeah, I don't think we should underestimate Italy by any chance.
No, and they've always traditionally been the team that stifles you with their tactics almost. That's how they won the 2006 World Cup, really.
Yeah.
They had the best tactics and they stuck to it.
I always found watching Italy, they always there'd just be moments where the players, I know we're talking about collective and stuff, but the players, they have such a style, sort of the way they play, the kind of touch and the turn and so very smooth the way to watch it.
Yeah.
Brilliant players still. Right, who's your next choice then? Who do we want to look at next?
Right, so my next one is Portugal.
Yeah, good side. I think they'll go far.
The Opta percentage thing, they got a 9.2% chance of winning.
Oh, okay. So they're seen as a greater chance than Italy, I suppose.
Yeah, between Italy and Germany then. So they are former winners as well. I didn't realise that their history in the Euros hasn't actually been that long. I think the first time they qualified for it was in 1996 or something.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it was
96.
It was, but since then, they're not a massive country by any means. But they were quarterfinals, semis, runners-up, quarterfinals, semis, winners, and then last time it was round of 16.
Good players, aren't they?
So, like Germany, they had a dip in the most recent Euros, but they have won it, and they won it with a couple of the players that are playing in this tournament. In fact, actually, 2004 they came runners-up. Cristiano Ronaldo played in that one as well.
Yeah, he did. Didn't he?
20 years ago.
Was that in 2004 when he helped get Rooney sent off?
The wink.
The wink thing, yeah. And
That's
it was all
the
that slimy kind of...
Yeah.
Can I say slimy? I don't know. Edit that out because I'll get loads of hate from Ronaldo.
No, that's fine. I mean, you can use that term for Rooney as well because you hate Rooney that much.
I do, actually.
Yeah. You probably hate Rooney more than Ronaldo, right?
Yes. Yeah, I probably do, yeah.
Well, these guys, I have more of an inkling that they could be in with a chance of winning as much as France and England. Like France and England...
Generally seen as the favourites, aren't they?
Yeah. But these guys, they're the only team to get a 100% record in the qualifiers. So if you can only go on the most recent, more competitive games, I know a lot of the qualifiers, they're against easier teams. You can only beat who you play against.
Yeah.
And they're the only team to have done it. They won 10 out of 10. And I've got some stats here for you.
Oh, hello.
So I looked up the wins, losses, draws, as well as goals for and against.
Stick with us, guys. I'm sure it'll be over in a minute.
I did it for Portugal, England, France, Italy, Belgium, Spain, and Netherlands because I thought they're the biggest teams, really.
Yeah.
And the next most that's been won is 7 games by Spain, 7 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
England 6 out of 10. So it's Portugal. They clearly have done it right. They only conceded 2 goals.
So they're quite solid at the back.
Yeah, and they scored 36. So they scored far more than any other team. Next closest is 29 by France, and they let in the fewest.
That's quite interesting, actually.
Yeah. So, and not only that, Roberto Martinez is the manager, Everton legend.
Can we get the grasshoppers out again? He's everyone's an Everton legend, apparently.
Well, what can I say? It's a legendary team.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've clearly done well in the qualifying stages. Their most recent friendlies, it's kind of been up and down a bit. But the thing is, you can't take too much.
No, and sometimes you try different things in friendlies, don't you?
Yeah.
Play different squads and things.
Yeah, I know I mentioned the friendlies more in when I was talking about Germany, but that's only because they didn't have to do the qualifiers. So that's all we could go on. So that was their only chance really to test out the teams.
Yeah.
So they play in a at the moment, a 3-4-2-1 kind of formation. Martinez is apparently kind of favouring more the back five, the wing backs coming in to help the three in defence. And then kind of relying on Ronaldo up front. And he's had a bit of a resurgence in the number of goals. He got the second highest number of goals in qualifiers.
Wow.
Only Lukaku was higher. So at
Things
the
are
moment,
looking good, really, for Portugal.
yeah, all the stars are aligning for them because they have a team. When I went through their squad, my goodness, they've got a strong team.
But you don't have to use language like that.
I'm so sorry.
To be a clean
I'll have to bleep it out.
podcast, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to bleep it out with, I don't know, a religious sermon or something. But
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
Of their 26 players, 10 of them play in the Prem. 10 of them play in the Prem. That's a weird way to say it.
Say that 3 times fast. Go.
No.
Oh.
Then the rest of them, they play in the top teams in Italy, Spain, and Portugal and
Tells
France.
a story, doesn't it?
Yeah. 2 of them play in Saudi, but one of them is Cristiano Ronaldo. And I know that we've been saying for a while that he kind of hinders them in a sense, and I think that's true for the latter stages. But he's still doing well against the lower teams. So in the group stages, he could play, and then in the run-in in the knockout stages, they've still got Rafael Leao.
Good player, yeah.
Yeah.
Played, is it Milan he plays for?
Yeah.
Because I remember he played at Newcastle in the Champions League this
Yeah,
year.
yeah, he did.
Seen him there, yeah.
Yeah, and they've got Joao Felix as well.
Yeah, he's always a bit of a... So they've got the talent, and Joao Felix probably summarises what sort of Portugal are about, really. They've got the talent.
Yeah.
It's whether it clicks, it's whether they show up on the day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so, I mean, behind that as well, they've got Bruno Fernandes. He was... Fernandes. Why did I say Fernandes? Yeah.
Have you noticed that on an EAFC or on FIFA and that, they just say Fernandes?
Yeah,
So
Fernandes.
I think that's a
Bruno
Portugal way
Fernandes.
of pronouncing it. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got Fernandes, and they've got Bernardo Silva, who I think is going to be
he's genius.
yeah, he's going to be one to watch. I would say if Leao plays, then I would say he's probably one to watch because he's going to be the one pretty much taking over the mantle of Ronaldo once he is phased out.
Yeah, yeah.
And probably in the latter stages, they'll rely on Leao more than Ronaldo. But Bernardo is going to be one to watch, I think. He's at his peak now.
It's very difficult for Portugal. They've got so many brilliant players.
Yeah.
I mean, Jota, he's
Yeah.
such a good... He's one of the best finishers in the Prem, actually, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Such a
If
good
he's
finisher.
he scores like 10 goals and then goes out injured for half a season.
Yeah, but he's one of the most natural finishers.
Yeah, but they definitely are a team that they've got these squad members that you would think that they're a winning team. If they won, you wouldn't be surprised.
No, definitely have the quality to go all the way. And for my final team that I want to pick out, I'm going to talk about France. France.
Yeah.
They have sort of the second highest chance of winning according to Opta.
Okay.
I wonder, can Opta be biased? I was looking at where Opta's from. Apparently they've got headquarters all over the place, to be honest, but it did say they have a headquarters in London. So I don't know if there's like a bias from Opta or something. It's meant to be statistics, but England are favourites, 19.6 I think it is, or something like that percent they've calculated as.
Yeah.
France are 19.1 though, so very close.
Pretty much the same.
And without thinking of numbers, you'd say the teams are probably similar in terms of individual talent.
Yeah.
What France have, though, is mentality and experience.
Yeah.
That's why I think for most people, they're the favourites.
And that's a big thing we've said about before, where if you haven't won it, it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't.
Yeah. That mentality getting over the line.
Yeah, England had a golden age. Belgium, their golden generation, didn't win anything.
Yeah. It must have been their manager. Who was his manager again?
No, it doesn't matter. Carry on.
But anyway, there's some organisation, I don't know who they are. FIFA, apparently. I don't know. Recognise that?
No idea.
No.
We should sue them for having a similar name to us.
That does sound a bit similar to us.
Yeah.
But they've ranked France as second.
Oh, behind Argentina.
In the FIFA rankings. FIFA rankings.
Yeah.
But yeah, so France are always going through... They're also going through a transition. So there's quite a few transitioning teams that we've mentioned.
Yeah.
Varane and Hugo Lloris are both no longer in the French team. So they're kind of long-standing players that have been there for a long time.
That's true.
But they have brought in a genius player, Saliba. Brilliant defender.
Good squad member, I suppose. Yeah.
But I don't think, because the manager hasn't really trusted Saliba for a long time. I remember during the season, Saliba's been brilliant for Arsenal for 2 seasons now.
Yeah.
But during this last league season, the manager was kind of coming out. What's the manager's name? Deschamps.
Yeah.
Deschamps come out and sort of said that he thinks Saliba takes too many risks. He doesn't trust him. I remember came out during the season, but he's now picked him in the squad. They've won all but one of the qualifiers, but in the one that they didn't win, it was kind of they played that kind of experimental squad. They're trying out new things because they'd already qualified.
Yeah.
So you can't really judge them on that. But in terms of
Yeah.
are they the favourites? Well, probably, even though Opta don't agree. And in terms of danger man, well, you can't. It's hard to look past Mbappe, really. He scored a hat trick in the World Cup final. He can just.
Yeah.
He's someone who is a game changer.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not even as though he played well in the final game as well. I don't think he necessarily played brilliantly. It's just he got those chances and he was clinical.
You have to say, if there's anyone you think just in a moment can change a game, it's him.
Yeah.
So I think he could get the golden boot.
Quite, yeah, I would think that. And it's almost as though with France, they're their own worst enemy, aren't they? They either go to the final of a tournament or they get
Argue with
knocked out
each
of
other
the
and
group
just-
stages and
Yeah.
they all go home. And
go on strike.
yeah. So it's that winning mentality we said with Germany as well. Those teams, Italy had that as well.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's one thing. So although England are seen as favourites for some reason, that's what we were talking in a recent episode about where we think England are going to go. And I think that mentality is something you can't really measure it, and that's why people don't understand it a lot of the time. But
Yeah.
that's something that England don't have yet. We haven't won a major tournament for so long.
You can also see it with the English media, because all of the people in the English media are people who who either haven't seen or don't remember England winning a tournament.
Yeah.
And so, when England lost to Iceland in the last friendly, it's not a massive deal, because although, yes, that we should be beating a team that's got a lower population than Exeter, fair enough. But then again, that's the final game before the tournament. If I was playing in that game, I'd be playing with bubble wrap. I wouldn't want
you
to
don't
get
want to get
injured,
injured, do you?
Yeah. I'd be putting the minimum effort, if you know what I mean. The most effort whilst being allowed to call that minimum. You wouldn't want to just stroll around.
Right.
You want to be seen as though you're putting in enough effort, but you want to put enough in. You don't want to put all of your effort in, otherwise you'll get injured. And I think it's just people think too much into it, and the media blew up, didn't it? It just
Did it?
Yeah, it completely blew up.
It blew up.
Yeah,
Right.
in the air. But yeah, they were just going on and on about how England aren't prepared. It's bad signs.
We didn't play well, but you wonder, can you judge it? Because it was two two friendlies.
Yeah.
And both didn't show England in a great light in terms of the style of play. And
No.
there was a lot of gaps in the first game. There were in midfield gaps. Rice and Mainu seemed to be struggling to close all the gaps down, and it looked like a team that was a bit disjointed. Like some of the players were pressing and some weren't.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot to fix. But again, they're trying new things. It's a team that's only had a few weeks really to get together and build that chemistry. So I don't think we can judge it on that. We'll have to wait and see. I think England have a good chance, but I think it is the best chance England have had for quite a long time with a few of the individual stars.
Yeah, and we've mentioned before that not only do we think they've got one of the best squads, but the reason why they have such a good chance is because the other famously big teams are either going through a transition or are not as strong.
Yeah, and that's and we've just proven that. Pretty much every team we just mentioned have some sort of transition that they've had to go through. So is this England's chance? Who knows?
You decide.
Yeah. That was Brummy, right?
Yeah, sure, why
not? Right, so there's our getting to know the opposition episode. 4 picks that we believe that we need to keep an eye on. So thinking about the next England game then, what do you reckon? What's your score prediction, Seth?
So that's against Denmark. I reckon we'll win. I'm gonna say 2-0.
Ooh, that's quite a sound win. It's quite a comfortable win, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite a convincing one.
Denmark again. You probably think they're gonna play more defensive.
Yeah.
I can see us catching. I can see them catching us out on the counter. Maybe I'm gonna say 2-1 England.
Okay. But it's still going to be a win. I like it.
Yeah. All right, well, there you go. Two of us fairly confident. We're back in England.
We're still doing our Super 6 league between us. So we'll see how we go with that one. Obviously, I'm going to win it in the long run because you have no idea what you're talking about.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
We will.
So if you want to see how you'd get on against us in the Super 6, then you can always compare your results. We'll have our Super 6 on should we put it on our socials, Sess?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think we'll get them up there. So this week, by the time this episode goes out, it'll probably be up there. So have a little look. It really means a lot to us if you could do us that favour and do share us.
Well, you say favour, it's mandatory.
Is it mandatory? All right, so it's mandatory, according to Sess. You're the sugar daddy now, aren't you?
It's just even the way you said it.
So thanks for listening. It's goodbye for me.
Goodbye from me.